Yo, what's up? What's up? Strippers, strip poker players, knights at the inventory. This is episode 56, I'm pretty sure, of the Strip Poker Night at the Inventory podcast. I'm your host, spnanon, here with my co-host, nmasp. Go ahead and say hi.
What kind of fucking opening was that, dude? When did you become like gangster rap aficionado? Anyway, yeah, I'm nmasp. I'm here to provide.
Gangster rap.
Whatever. I don't fucking know. It's
The,
all
the
you white.
fucking the fucking Jesse Pinkman openings were the ones where
It's you and your white nonsense. Get gone from this place. Anyway,
my rims chops.
Speaking of white nonsense, we have from all the way in Argentina. Argentina, we have Karbol. Karbol, why don't you introduce yourself, characters you've made, current projects, all that fun stuff.
All that fun stuff. All right. My name is Karbol Tolia. I'm the co-writer for Wikipedia. I'm the main writer for Stocking from Pantheon Stocking, and Polly and Zoe, who we might be talking later on.
Very cool.
Talking about.
Also, his favorite Pokemon is Cradilly.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
fucking like Zoomer children in your Pokemon. I remember back when Pokemon came out and it had 150, 151, and that was all we needed. And then Gold and Silver came out and it was still good. And then they remade Gold and Silver and Pokemon is good again. Anyway.
Namask, what's your favorite Pokemon?
My favorite Pokemon's Leafeon, so like I'm such a fucking liar. It's like, oh, you fucking boomers, and it's just like not even from the right generation. Anyway.
I thought that was Napsu's favorite.
I think we both like Leafeon.
Honestly, I don't really like Pokemon anymore. I just like Cradilly.
So that's two bulky ass ground type or grass types.
I guess I like Feraligatr more, actually, coming to think about it. I just like the only reason I really know Leafeon is because like
Bayou?
Basically. I like Feraligatr a lot. Feraligatr is probably my favorite.
Okay.
I like the thing is like I say favorite, but it's like I don't really know what I'm talking about half the time, so it's kind of just like a blind guess.
This should definitely all be in the introduction. Do not
Oh,
cut
for
any
sure.
of this out.
Oh, for sure.
This is essential.
Speaking of games with lots of collectible parts, today this brings us to our main roster, and if you want to collect a bunch of different parts, especially a head or some arms, you can look no further than Misfortune from Skullgirls.
It has been another hot minute since a podcast. I mean, not really. We recorded the last one pretty quickly, and it got out pretty quickly, but there's just been, development has been even faster.
Well, Misfortune was written by Buddy Tebow, artist Buddy Tebow, and Blue Jay. Karbol, what are your thoughts on this undead cat girl? And keep in mind, we're going to try and keep this nice and tight so we can blaze through these.
I'm
420
looking
style.
for a gif of Misfortune. It's like some like Dota or League of Legends girl.
Oh, probably.
She's like a redhead. She's got like two big flintlock hand cannons.
There's also a character in League of Legends who's called Misfortune, but honestly, it's a really common name for a character.
Well, here she is. She's the half dead, never dead cat girl.
So yeah, you gotta really respect a character that forces everyone else to forces the game to up the character size limit to 15 megabytes, it's really cool. Blue Jay's skills are amazing on this model. You can really tell she had a lot of fun with it, and it goes the same for Buddy Tebow. You can tell this is like his Mary, like Beast is with Mary. He has a lot of fun with it, and it shows. And no, I don't really have any criticisms about her. I think she's really neat. Yeah.
Kind of fun facts. This is just a good tip for life. Is like if you want to like change the rules, just make a really good exception to it, and then usually things work out for the better. So either like fuck up so bad the rules have to change to accommodate your mishap, or like do so well the rules no longer apply. Competence and quality tend to overwhelm quality control.
I don't know what the legal term for this is, but like the way Spinatti's rules operate, it's like post facto, or
it's not. It's like kind of post facto sometimes, but it's like you usually have to fuck up pretty bad to like have retroactive actions go into effect, because it's usually like, all right, from this point on, no more nonsense.
We always make new rules or policy adjustments because it's our approach is just like, well, let's see if someone fucks up bad enough that we need a rule to stop this in the future. Or alternatively, if someone does a really good job, that we need to change the rules to accommodate them. Like, I mean, you got examples like Viz, where he just comes in. It's like, well, I'll just code this into the game.
I just decided to make Monica this way. Good luck. Here we go. Anyway,
and if there is no code, then I'll just make some. Misfortune, she's good. I pretty much gave my thoughts last time, but I think I really appreciate Tebow's like passion for this character. Just like his every time like he gets like some kind of funny idea with her, he will always like you see all the gears turning, and he goes back and like adds a new like funny meme pose to accommodate that. And that's something that it's not something I think I would, as a creator, would have the bandwidth for, to just like constantly pursue that meme energy. I don't think I have that in me. I like being a little more straightforward, but I think there's definitely a place for it. And she's just like a really, really, really like hot, popular Rule 34 character that's a really good place on this roster.
If I may add a little bit something else.
Sure.
Skullgirls in general is very memey as a franchise. It's full of references, full of memes, and it really fits for Buddy Tebow to write her as a meme character while making her a sexual character too.
Yeah, I think Misfortune's great. I really enjoy the way she's written. My complaint that you're going to hear a lot is it does feel like we're getting a lot of these like 1,200 line characters, and I actually think that's a good thing for the game to like make lower line count, more frequent additions. The only concern I have is when you have a very distinct character due to, you know, for instance, Misfortune's head falling off, you probably want to commit to the bit a little bit more and really extend, you know, their longevity by building in a bunch of targets or a bunch of filter lines. That's my only real feedback here, because I think she's awesome. I'd love to see more of her. This is the same kind of criticism I'm going to give to Zoe later, where it's like, you know, this character is really unique, and it's kind of a shame to let them, you know, potentially lie fallow without enough, you know, kind of future proofing or, you know, content to go back and explore.
Are you saying like there's just more creators are like kind of tuck and run with their projects? Like, you know, I made her, she's done, I'm moving on now. And,
yeah, and I mean,
many updates.
I think that's true.
We're in the older school of dev mindsets, where the roster wasn't quite as big, so there's more of an expectation to target everyone on it.
I feel like this is cyclical, though, right? Because it's like, you know, for a long time, and this is just kind of for context for Karbol and anyone else listening, like back in like, I don't know, up to 2019 or so, it was really, the roster wasn't expanding fast enough that you couldn't really get ahead of it and keep on top of targets. And so like every new character that hits testing, you're like, bam, all right, great. Here's like 30 targeted lines. Welcome to testing, asshole. And like you could do that with like quite a few characters at the same time. But now it's like every day or every other day, there's like a new character on test, and you're just like, what is going on here? But I don't know. I don't think like all characters need to target each other completely. I think generics and taglines are there for a reason. But my biggest advice is like, this strategy works, but if you want like longevity for your project, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you just like try and put Ion in the game, don't like your sponsorship conditions, then just choose to not do them. You know, for certain authors who will not be named. Yeah,
life imitates art.
Yeah,
the other way around.
But like, you know, I think like for characters that you're not planning to really update after.
Is Napsu's work just like some kind of performance art, like where she's just like mimicking the source material?
I like
Sim and like fucking Union like, getting abandoned by everyone.
I kind of wonder sometimes. Like I don't know if that's ever been.
Is she like the Andy Kaufman of Spinati?
Well, look at like Kizuna Ai, right? Like look at Kizuna Ai and tell me that that's not like fucking performance art or streaming Chan. Like there's like intent behind these like bizarre design decisions or like initiatives.
Fucking Amy.
I don't know. I just think Napsu's like thinking on like a higher plane of existence than any of us, just because she's just trolling. Like it's like yes. Here's my character designed to like none of you understand. It's like that meme of like someone like the guy with the cup in like the party standing in the corner be like, none of them know I'm doing performance art. It's like it's like it's only clever if people actually get it, and I definitely don't think I do. This is all to say with Misfortune, and a lot of the characters. I'm going to say this now to save us time for later, but if you don't really want to spend a ton of time on targeted lines, like that's totally fine. But definitely like make a shitload of filters. Like I'd say if your character has like 500 filtered lines, you've basically future-proofed them for eternity, and then you can just like let them go safely, and it's good after that. But definitely target people. Targeting is fun. Targeting encourages other devs, especially like if you're on test and you have like other people on test with you. Definitely target them because it's a good way to get new creators invested. Like it's also like if I'm like thirsty for your character, I'll just have my characters thirst over your character. So you can get to know me that way.
I don't know if it's just my boomer sensibilities, spinati boomer sensibilities, but I just feel this breakneck pace of development. It's like some characters are just like halfway sponsored, and like their creator is always already like moving on to the next project. It's like, fuck, I haven't even targeted this one.
I don't know if I don't know. Like I don't
just churning through the girls.
Well, because like I think like when you start out, you have a lot more like freedom to make whatever the fuck you want. Like when I was like creating characters in 2018, it just like I didn't give a shit. I'm gonna like fucking post like one character a month for 3 months, and it's fine.
That's true. Maybe it's just because like there's a lot of new creators.
I'm just busier now. Yeah, I think like there's a lot of synergy. Like having new creators around you is energizing. But like you and I didn't have like boomer creators to look to, except like maybe Andres or Pat, right? Anyway, This is all to say I really like Misfortune. Any other closing remarks? Let's just keep this train rolling.
All right, take us away to the next one.
All right, so our next character is Kumatora. Bear tiger, I believe, is how that actually translates. Very distinct art, poised to do extremely well in the resort. And just generally really, really quite strong.
What have you been peeking at the results?
Yeah, I have been.
As a secret mod?
As everyone knows, there will be happy people, there will be less happy people. Some people will get upset for things that were entirely in their control. Some people will get upset for reasons entirely outside of their control. Welcome to life. Anyway, I'll, Karbol, what do you think about Kumatora? And then we'll, wrap up. But, TLDR for me is like, she's good. Please keep writing her. I really like her. Have Tomboy.
I mean, basically, yeah, she's amazing. I think her art style is a really good way to. She's an excellent example on how to translate a certain art style to this context. Kiseke and strip poker, making it sexy and all. Yeah, I really like her model. Her writing is excellent. I had a lot of fun with it. It's pretty sexy too. And I remember hearing when she dropped on testing, I was just so happy for Corgi, because the guy has been around for like a long time, and having him finally become purple and join the ranks was like a really happy moment for me.
Well, since we've talked about her on testing, she's actually gotten some more detail on her hoodie, the shading and the arm pocket.
Yeah, it looks super good. I just think Kumatora is excellent. I feel legitimately like Blue Jay, like this is great. Blue Jay always has really good art, but I really appreciate that Blue Jay's like style is so distinct, and that like Blue Jay, I'd say like Horsekiller makes like excellent detailed models from like Eastern sources, but I'd say it's pretty hard to beat Blue Jay for Western stuff. Like between like Kumatora and Leon and Misfortune, like A+, and just super good artists.
Okay, none of those characters are
what? They're all Western.
None of those characters are
Skullgirls is Western.
It is?
Yeah. Oh wait, yeah.
Yep.
Like what characters that are not like anime-esque, I guess is why. Sorry, like I tend to shorten Western for anything that's not like Weeb Central.
Okay.
You're technically right, but it's a style choice more than it. You know what I mean? Like,
if there's going to be any character or any series to like go full stylistic, Mother is probably the one, because they're all just like asexual
Blobs.
clay dolls.
Yeah.
That are like. I mean, yeah, I would not go for a 1-to-1 canon look here. I think some of my writing criticisms are kind of lingering here and there a little bit, like just stuff where, like, I think she leans a little too hard on like the references, and or she kind of like inserts them into lines where the line probably would have been fine without bringing anything up. I don't know. It's just it feels like she's a perfectly appealing character on her own. She doesn't need to be like constantly selling you on her source material or talking about it, because I feel like she can kind of stand on her own, because she doesn't need that to be interesting all the time. That's my point. And like Mother is kind of known for having a lot of like weird off the wall stuff kind of come out of nowhere and then leave, but that works a lot better when you're actually like experiencing it and not just like talking about it. But overall, yeah, she's still really good, and I'm looking forward to interacting with her.
Yep. All right. Moving on to our good buddy Barbara from Santa Barbara. She is a stoner. She likes surfing in Southern California, judging by her appearance. No.
And I think this is going to take a little bit longer for a main roster character, because we never got to her when she was on testing. She's already on the fucking main roster.
Yeah. All right. So Karbol, you go ahead. Like, chuck us into the Barbara pit.
You see what I mean when like this shit is taking too long?
Well, I mean, there's just too many coming out. We need to be usurped. We need some Zoomers on here who can run the fucking cast, and then you and I can go
with the CCP's output. These Chinese factories.
You and I can just go smoke cigars and like bitch about like communism and fucking paying taxes or whatever old people do. Anyway, Karbol, what do you think about Barbara? You go ahead.
I'm going to keep it brief. I am very biased against Genshin characters and games of that kind in general, but Barbara on her own is a pretty solid character that I'll enjoy a lot. She seemed a little bit too similar to Ganyu, I think that's her name.
Yeah, I see.
The goat girl?
But that I think that has more to do with the fact that it's a horse killer model with horse killer posing, and they also come from the same source. But I really like her dialogue. She's like a happy peppy Pinkie Pie that in her songs, and what I really liked about her is the fact that she has some hidden depths that you can see by playing her with different characters. Like, she sometimes talks about her sister and her own insecurities. She wants to explore her own sexuality, but is afraid of what might happen if her fans find out because of her status as an idol and such. And I think that's really cool, depending on who you're playing her with. She has a lot of really good filtered lines, especially for her for Fate phase. And yeah, she's really cool. Good work, Alias.
Yeah, I'd agree. She has a decent amount going on, which I always like to see, kind of the introspection on like, I'm a nun and an idol, and it means various things for me in my life and the way people perceive me. And
that's such a good combination.
It's such a weird combination.
It's so good though.
Like nun and idol.
It works.
I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it's it takes a certain amount of buy-in. Let's see. I think she was polite in my game, a little bit leaning into like Moeblob syndrome, because I don't know, maybe that's her. I mean, nuns and idols, I guess, are supposed to be a certain degree of polite and respectful, but like she never really got mad at anything or took issue with anything in particular.
Play her with Nagamimi is all I can say. It's a treat.
I'm sure it's there. It's just that's more what I go for is the conflict and like asserting your own characters that more assert their own views. Let's see.
I think that's fair.
She gave a lot of lore on her setting, which was good, but it didn't always seem to have like much relevance to what was going on, or like it needed to like have some relevance to me, and I didn't always get like why is she talking about this, or like why should I care, or what should I get out of it? She was just kind of like telling me. I played her in a game with Fischl, and is that how you say it? Fischl?
Fischl.
Fina. And she seemed very focused on her, which makes sense because she's a franchise mate, and it's why I tend to not play with franchise mates, because I want the more generic experience with their shtick. But they did have like good lines to each other. Like they were having some pretty in-depth conversations, so that's good to see. So my general feeling for her is she's cute, and I sense that there is something going on there. But for my experience, at least, she kind of went into the background a little bit, just because she is so nice and polite and generally like happy and helpful, which is going to be a bit of a repeating criticism for a couple other characters.
Spnanon critiques characters he deems to be moe-blob more in the aftermath. But no, I think that's like kind of a valid criticism. I actually
quite a trope. Do I do that all the time? Is that all I ever do?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, everyone has their thing. Your thing is like, if they're not like a stoic badass, you know, moe-blob, instant just smack that moe-blob button. I think
watch your jiggle.
Yeah, I really like Barbara. I think the big thing I do want to see from her is like there is that contextualization that you talk about that's actually very, very cool if she's in the right environment. And I can't tell if that's like a good thing or not, that a character, you know, has to be with different characters to explore that. But I do think that, you know, I think there's a lot going on with Barbara that's really interesting and compelling. And I would like to see a little bit more, you know, again, this is going to become my trope for the thing is like put some taglines on there just to like talk about different combinations and scenarios. And I think you're golden, because especially with like if you know, hypothetically, if Genshin becomes the new like Fire Emblem, like you're gonna like have way too many characters to target, and eventually it's gonna be like 2 years later, someone's gonna like introduce a character from another country that wasn't even in the game, and you're probably gonna want to future-proof that with filtered lines for just like each of the nations or some combination of things like that. Just to kind of expose different aspects of, you know, who Barbara is as a person. And something I think that I want to do, you know, maybe not now or ever really, but that would be a good idea is like, I think having like the characters like stripped lines be dependent someone on the tags of the other people at the table is kind of a good strategy, because it's like that way, you know, they're a little thirstier if things they like are there. They're a little like more reserved if that's kind of the nature of it. They're a little bit more of an asshole if, you know, they're playing with, you know, their rivals or whatever.
That's, you know, like more defensive.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. It's like I can imagine that's
really good advice to like expedite the process of writing.
Yeah,
I'm like a very generic line purist. Like if a case can have like fully generic lines, priority 0, you know, white text in the character editor, no conditions whatsoever.
That.
I want that. Like that needs to be there.
That's
full
bad.
stop.
I don't like I hate writing generics for what it's worth. So I'm definitely a big fan of like.
I mean,
you know,
it's a challenge, but it's a challenge I want to undertake.
Because you're not writing new characters. Like it's like it's a solved problem for you. But like if I, you know, I didn't actually.
It's not a solved problem for me, but it's a problem I can devote a lot of time to. And I guess if you're working through a bunch of different projects, I can understand smoothing it over and being a little more specific. And adding in tags, not worrying about it.
Cool. All right. Anyway, Barbara's good. Keep writing her. I think she adds a lot to the game. I think just like more horny, not a bad thing.
Masp.
What's up?
Where player KYOU?
Where player KYOU?
Where
finally,
is she? Where is Go?
Player KYOU is on the main roster now.
What? What?
You know, the dreams of the exiled have come to be true. I don't know.
It finally happened.
It finally happened. All right. So, what do you think about Nagisa or Kyou? Kyou. God damn it! No, I was looking at her lines to Nagisa, and I'm like, okay, what do you think about Kyou? What do you think about Kyou, Karbol?
Anyway, so my thoughts on KIOU.
KYOU.
I'm pretty sure it's Kyou.
So I think it's really commendable how Mango came out of nowhere and started developing her, and he was up to the task of reaching horse killer levels of quality in the model. And it's a very daunting task considering that horse killer has made like 20 models, more than 20 models, and you can tell he has a lot of passion for this character, because you can play with her and she has a lot of filtered lines. She has a lot of lines depending on card quality and stripping on other characters. You know, I don't know. I really like her, actually. I watched Clannad. I think she's a really faithful adaptation of the character. And keep writing her.
I'd kind of agree with the keep writing her thing. She has a lot of really good detail to her. I think both in terms of the model and in terms of the writing. I think the challenge. I think the challenge I run into with Kyou is just like I don't think I really get her very much, and I think that makes it hard for me to target her because she's like kind of tsundere, but also kind of not. So I'm like, what am I working with here? And I just think it's like one of those characters that is a little bit of a miss for me because I don't understand. And this is a character that I want to like. Like I really do appreciate the labor of love that this character is. I think it's phenomenal that Mango came out of like fucking nowhere and built this thing from scratch. It was just like, yeah, I feel like doing this, so I did it. And it's like, cool.
It's possible to get good as long as you just get good.
It's literally possible to just like show up out of fucking nowhere and get good, and it's great. And I think Kyou is
there's just like these levels of Kisuke, like the base, just like using the defaults, which is just you just get shitty off-brand K-On, and then people just have to like show you how to make things. Like how do you shade hair? How do you use hair pieces?
You use bats.
It's like, oh, okay, now I can add actual details and build how it's supposed to fucking look.
Well, one piece of advice I'd give to Mango actually is like I'm scrolling through the character editor right now, just reviewing. One thing that I think would be really interesting with Kyou is just getting more conversations going back and forth between characters, and I get the feeling that it would be helpful if you reached out to people over DM and were like, "Hey, I want our characters to talk," because I think that's going to be a more proactive approach if you decide to listen to this later. And this is true for anyone. Like I think. You can always just like throw targeted lines and wait for people to respond from the abyss. But I think things tend to go a lot better if you're like, hey, hey, my character wants to target your character. These are things they can talk about. And then you go into various levels of whatever, you decide to take. That would be my advice is just reach out to authors directly and be like, hey, let's talk about shit.
Kyou is in spnanon. She is a surprisingly cool customer for like a tsundere girl, considering that like I looked on Tenor and the first two gifs of her are like shouting and being like embarrassed and angry.
I feel like she kind of like plays into like the other angles of her personality from what I remember from Clannad, which is good because I think otherwise she becomes a meme. Like, I think the tsundere characters in the game only work well if they're, like, well textured, in the sense of, like, there's more to them than that. Otherwise, it's just like, ooh, don't notice me, senpai. Anyway, that's all I kind of really got here. Let's keep moving through the main roster. We're, almost done, and then we can go to the testing discussion that we can stretch out.
Sure.
All right, so Noire is next. Karbol, I have talked at length about Noire. I think she is excellent. I hope that she continues to get targeted lines because, like, another, Aryan just from out of the fucking nowhere, just being like, yep, I've decided to just, like, show up and slap all of you straight in the balls until, like, you admit how cool this character is. And it works. But anyway.
I think I've already talked about Noire one time. I decided to play with her on public, but yeah, she's really good. I really like her animations. The model is just incredible. The writing was excellent when I played her, but it seems like she was a pretty self-centered, let's say. She mostly talked about herself, her own world, didn't have many filter lines. Even during other characters that were stripping and such, she would mostly talk about herself and the player. But I think she's on her way to fix this. Like you can tell that the developer is putting a lot of work into this, and I really like that because this game is all about the interactions. It's all about the crossover aspect and the sexy part. So missing out on the crossover aspect is a really big flaw that I'm really glad to see he's fixing. So yeah.
This pose that I posted from her is called like Bitsuni, which what the fuck does that mean?
I don't speak Japanese.
Arian, her creator, he
like got the lore. He went deep into the.
He actually
Mitsune is like whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever.
And he's flexing on us. No, I gotta look this up. Bitsuni. It doesn't make a difference. There you go. So she's being kind of flippant and I get it. I get you. So yeah, I'm gonna echo Karbol's thoughts here. I think she still has kind of that a little bit of the player focused tunnel vision, which I mean it's popular, right? Like you
I
can
mean, it
you
works.
can get
Like,
a lot of mileage out of just like unironic thirst for the player.
I mean, put up or not, like it works, right?
Like, this is just me personally. Like I 100% do not respond to that at all. Like any kind of neediness or like cries for attention, I just want to like kill them and myself. Like shut the fuck up. But it's just I don't know. It's not my thing at all. Like that's why I like Maya because she's just like yeah.
I think Noire is like,
She's
yeah,
just so straightforward. She's not playing any games.
I like. I hope she keeps getting updates, and I hope Neptune joins her on the main roster someday.
Yeah. She completely lapped Neptune.
So good. Anyway,
but despite echoing those criticisms, yes, she is very good overall.
Yeah, I really think that just the biggest thing you can do to Noire is get some initiative and just target some characters that you like as a writer, Arian, and I think you're going to be in good shape because I will readily admit that I was just like, all right, time to throw Adrian lines at this and see what happens. But go target some characters you like, honor them with Noire lines, and see what happens. All right, moving on to I believe this is our second to last main roster character for today is Hatsune Miku. Karbol, why don't you go ahead and take us away?
I have some thoughts about Miku because I really like
gee, I wonder if there's going to be any gifts of Hatsune Miku on Tenor.
Yeah,
only 10,000 million.
Oh man. So
I really have my pick of the litter. Go ahead.
I really like the effort Trixie is putting into improving her model. It's hard to keep it separate from the basic isekai model, but he's putting a lot of effort into that, and I really commend him for it. But on the dialogue side, I think Miki's a little bit too self-centered. Like most of the time, she's just singing on her own or just talking about her franchise. Her franchise mates aren't even here. Even during when other characters are stripping, she's just talking about herself. It's like she could be absent at the table. She could not be here, and it wouldn't make any difference, which is a shame because I really like the way he's writing her now. I really like how he acknowledges the memes, the references, but it doesn't completely lean into them. I think it's a bit of a missed potential.
I search up Spinati on like 4chan archives. Just to see like the raw like candid whatever just random doofs on the internet saying about Spinati, and I did see her brought up, so can't say she's not a high profile ad. I want to engage with her a little bit more because I wish I had a little bit more something of substance to say. But overall, I'd say right now she's in that caliber and that level of like just like a generally good like main roster addition. I don't know if she's like a particular standout, but she's not doing anything wrong per se. So she's definitely serving her purpose in that regard. I think when I played with her, I don't know if I can really criticize Hatsune Miku for singing too much, but I do feel like
fair.
I do feel like she defaulted to song lyrics a little bit too much because like when you have an out like that, it's like I don't know what to write. I guess I'll just have her sing. It can be a little socially awkward. I have the same problem with like Zontan when she like breaks into her song about watching you fat. It's like, why is she singing? Can you imagine like who goes to a poker table and then just like starts randomly singing?
A lot of people actually.
Really?
I have a really interesting observation. So I'm going, this is what I do, right? I review the character, then I get on the podcast and I review their character editor stuff so I can just like take a peek beneath the hood. She like targets streaming channel a lot, and I think that's incredibly smart given like that whole thing. But like this line, she has a really great line that I really like. It's just like, hey, streaming chan, I'm sorry if I came off a bit harsh earlier. The thing is, I have a lot of simps, and let's just say if they saw me naked, I'd be screwed. And the fact that like you could unironically use simp in like Hatsune Miku makes this character so good. I do think that like, you know, I think with like Hatsune Miku, my biggest kind of challenge with her is just I don't understand Vocaloid. Like I got into like the whole like MMD stuff with like Kyou's and I with like Napsu's just like watch this shit, and I'm like I don't what. So I'm a little behind. I'm a little bit out of the loop, but I do think that like there's room to have a really good character here. I think the writing is pretty consistent. I think the biggest thing that I would add to this character, and this is just like random advice, I think she targets a lot of situations well. My hot take here, if you want to make Hatsune Miku really good, you make her an anti-streaming chan. In the sense that like you do the exact same thing streaming chan is doing, but you ask nice things about the person to make them better. Like, I think if you did, like, that's a lot of work, but I think if you did that, Hatsune Miku would just, like, is such a good, like, chassis that if you had that element on top of it, you could just, like, take her to, like, row one with, like, very little struggle, aside from the work to, like, do that research. That's my unsolicited advice for it. But otherwise, like, I think she's, you know, certainly acceptable. I'd like to see more of, you know, more depth to her, and I think that could be a good angle to take, personally.
I do wonder what exactly is the audience that we attract? Are they the type to go for like Vocaloids, or would they respond more to like, you know, Western cartoons and we just happen to like anime?
I mean, you can look at play stats, and it's like I think it's a good mix, but I also think that, you know, there's, you know, I think people are really here for the crossover potential. It is really like the smash of smashing, and
yeah,
you know,
I don't know. I don't check play stats because
I know
I'm not going to be first.
I already know.
They depress some people.
I already know I'm a winner. I don't need anyone to confirm it for me. It's just
I
how I live my life.
I already know they're not topping the charts, so why even bother? Why get into that comparison?
Why admit to, you know, why try if you, if you never try, you could never lose. Easy peasy. Anyway,
I'm trying. It's got to be something that I personally am proud of.
She is cute though. I like that she is cute. I think like leaning more into like idol shit / you know, anti-streaming chan is a very easy stance to take. The one thing I also, this is just like a macro level advice. Last thing for all authors out there is some people really like doing like a back and forth between like, oh, I got one line from this character, I'll respond to that one line. They responded, I got one line back. I think that being a little bit more prolific when you write without dictating what the other people are saying is a good skill to have. So I will put it at that. All right, so with that being said, let's go on to Zoe. Karbol, you made Zoe. Go ahead and tell us about
special main roster edition.
Before we move on to Zoe, I would like to say that I've talked to Trixie, and I know he's very passionate about Miku, and I see a lot of potential on what he can do. So that's why I want to push her to be better. So anyway, I would prefer if you guys talked about Zoe first, and then I would comment on that.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. I like Zoe. I think she is a very interesting character. I think the artwork that went into her is obviously very strong. I think the shipping thing is like fucking hilarious and should be continued at all costs, like in perpetuity.
Yes. I hate Zoe because she needs to ship my girls with other girls more, or guys, or anyone. Just I want to be a part of that.
This is again like my kind of like macro level take of like characters should do more than just be their characters, and this is a bad take and nobody should listen to it except like you should, because I clearly know what I'm doing. It's basically that I think where Zoe can thrive, like completely unironically, is these crack ships for characters that are not in the top 20. Like if you could just ship 2 random fucking characters from the mid roster and force their authors to like interact by virtue of Zoe, you get so much free real estate, and like she becomes like very relevant. It's like the streaming chan phenomenon. Like people are like, who's streaming chan? It's like, well, she targets literally everyone in the top 20, so she goes pretty far. otherwise, I aside from that, like from a core mechanics perspective, I think she's really interesting. Just because obviously the art is really fascinating. I think being like an eldritch horror is kind of my alley. So I will be the first person to shamelessly admit that. But I think she's cool. I think like her tone is really good. It matches what you'd expect from like the Monster Prom series, based on like what I know about Polly. And is she our second Monster Prom or third? Is there another one that's in progress? Second, yeah. So I think there's that kind of like irreverent fun to her, which is nice. She's also like a shit poster, which I always enjoy. And you did what I wanted everyone to do, which is add in a bunch of filtered lines. So good job. You did the right thing.
She's got an element of like the modern, I guess, being the modern Kyou. And that she can kind of lean on the fourth wall or just completely smash it if she wants. And she's a shit poster. She's commenting more on the nature of the game itself and like these characters interacting, and she's having a lot of fun with that. And like that's your shtick, man. Just like go hard on it.
Yeah, I think like Zoe is delightfully weird. I don't have any like super tough criticism for her. One of the other details, I really like that all of her eyes blink at the same time. That's really like, you didn't need to do that, but the fact that you did is just like excellent. I'd say just target more characters, have her be like a fucking creepy weirdo to like other people on, like that's the thing, right? It's always like if you play D&D, the players will want to fuck everything, right? But like suddenly when the mind flayer wants to fuck you, then it's creepy and weird. It's also like, like don't take that literally, but it's kind of like, I think Zoe crushing on people who are like very normal looking has a lot of mileage to it. And I think like having her thirst a little bit more is probably a good tack to take with her moving forward. But, that's up to you. I like her what she is, but she's at, 1,100 lines. I definitely think that you have, 900 to go before you can really call it quits, and use those 900 to thirst. Go for it.
Just the idea of like this Tumblr fangirl who's like speaking with the objects of her shipping and just has no tact or personal boundaries is just funny.
I think I also think Zoe is like less of like a Tumblr like SJW shit poster than like, I don't know, Amy DDLC can be sometimes. She can be kind of a buzzkill, but I like that Zoe does not go too hard on that.
Like this is the kind of thing where she's just like, she's the perfect character to do like these sorts of meta crossover jokes.
Right, 100%.
She's the perfect transplant because this is like her dream come true.
Yeah, I think that this is like, you started doing this and it's just not enough. You need to go further. Like the question, it's like, it's not, the question is like, should we? It's that you should, and you should keep doing it. Anyway, great job. A+ work. Keep going. Your turn. Talk about your Eldritch waifu.
First of all, I would like to say that the model is not mine. I did not do any of the art. That was Ninja Monkey, which, he's great and everything.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, Ninja Monkey's really fucking good. Yeah, he's excellent.
He's really good. And he's great to work with, too. I'm really kudos to him.
Yeah, credit where it's due. Great job, Ninja Monkey.
He's another Kisuke success story like Mango. Yeah. Because Supernova started out looking like Default Chan.
It's also really weird because like I know a guy who goes by Mango in real life, and I know it's not the same person, and it kind of like weirds me out to be talking about him because I'm like,
Your friend is named Mango?
Yeah.
Do you have like orange and pear?
Why?
And grapefruit?
I'm not going to out him in the middle of my like hentai podcast. Yeah. He's from New Zealand, so instead of calling him Kiwi, we call him Mango.
Oh my.
Anyway.
So the thing about Zoe is that she was created for the Monster Prom sequel. She's supposed to represent the best side of fandoms in general. All the positive things about fandoms. She was also created alongside another character, which is supposed to represent all the negative things about fandoms, but he won't be in this game at all. So whatever.
What are the negative things about fandoms?
Have you ever like taken 10 seconds and stepped into any of the channels on the social server that are dedicated to one?
No, I know, but I just want to hear specifics.
You just want to bait that one out? Okay.
Oh, I don't know. I guess you'll have to play the game to find out.
Yeah, I guess. Wow, look at you.
Keep going.
Anyway, so writing Zoe is very challenging. It takes a lot of work on creative juices and such because she's very specific. She's supposed to be like either into this fandom of whatever character she's targeting or wanting to get into the fandom. So every target has to be like very specific, like appealing to the person, to the player who also is likes the franchise. So yeah, it takes a lot. It's hard to write her, but I really love her. I can help it. She's great.
That's great.
Any future plans for her or anything you really want to pursue?
I can't do anything art-wise, so I'm just going to focus on writing stuff, more targets, more filtered lines, whenever I get the time to actually sit down and write again. But there's something on the works.
No custom poses? We don't get to like see another eyeball where her asshole should be?
I would not like this. I would strongly prefer if this were not a thing.
Actually,
Please.
There are some custom posters that I'm working on. You'll have to see when I actually post it. Anyway, there's also something I've been working on with Onboro, but you'll have to see that when when it's actually done. So yeah.
Oh no, Onboro.
All right. Any other comments on Zoe?
Yeah, great work, Karbol. Keep it up.
Yeah, good work, Karbol.
It's also very hard to write as ESL, and I just want to say like spectacular job.
Okay, so that was the main roster. Hopefully we got through it a little bit quicker. If not, Solitaire just like cut out random tangents, parts of sentences, just completely change what we were saying. You gotta fit it under the 40-minute mark.
I do a lot of rambling that you can cut off, Solly.
No, leave it in there.
You're rambling?
Leave it in there.
We're the ones talking most of the time.
I've been talking to people all day, and I have to be like concise and thoughtful with what I'm saying. So by the time we get to this podcast, I'm just like, fuck it, you're gonna listen to my tirades, whether you like it or not.
I don't know. You don't need to worry about talking too much, Karbol. You're fine.
Yeah, you're good, dude.
But hey, yeah, we all ramble sometimes. We could really use a hand, just keeping things manageable.
Cool.
Speaking of
hands.
Oh my god, that was awful. Well done.
I don't know, man. I just come up with these on the spot.
Do you?
No.
Okay.
It'd be worse if it was fucking rehearsed and I couldn't come up with anything better than
I guess yeah. You know what? Fair.
Old Stumpy herself. It is Miki Miura, who you may have seen getting stoned off her ass in Emmy's epilogue. Not the one where she's in a dream, the one where you fuck her in the ass. This is her math is for Gaylord's friend, Miki, whose disability is that she is missing one hand. Which really, like, if you're going to a disability school, I feel like missing only one hand is pretty much winning the lottery. Like,
true.
It could be so much worse.
Yeah.
You could be deaf, you could be blind, you have no legs, no arms. You have a heart condition. I'll take being a little asymmetrical.
Not having a prosthetic is kind of the part that feels a little off to me. But anyway, Karbol, what do you think about Miki?
I don't know. It's just like I imagine her talking to Rin and Rin just being like, "Oh, you lost one hand. That's tragic.
Sucks. Shit sucks, yo.
We all have our crosses to bear."
Rin wouldn't care anywhere. So, Miki, I haven't actually played Katawa Shoujo, so I don't know much about her, but most of the problems I had with her were already fixed.
Although I really
I don't think she's in the main game.
She's not?
She's not?
I don't think
she
she's
might be in the background.
Right. She's not like a main character. I don't think she has like a dedicated route.
No.
I know she's a side character, but yeah.
Right. That's kind of what I meant.
Choice, but on brand for Spinati in terms of like picking side characters. Ace Attorney.
That's what we do.
Is this a Dorian? You know, did Dorian make this character? Nah, just kidding. Anyway.
Anyway, so I had a lot of problems with Miki when she dropped, mostly because I could not understand her. I'm sorry. There were a lot of grammar errors, and even maybe it's because English is not my main language, but I just couldn't understand her. But hey, it got fixed. She got a lot
There were a
better.
lot
I
of
can
typos.
actually read her now.
That is a legitimate problem. You don't have to feel bad about that. Like, there is a certain level of professionalism we want in the writing.
Yeah. I didn't know what to expect because I mostly saw Time Royal Peasant playing, on the banter firing range with her. And she was mostly like super horny all the time. She always threw herself at other characters. Like she was always trying to initiate something. And I expected something like that when I went to play her. But no, I actually got like a kind of cool girl who's like a bully, but not exactly like she can punch really hard with her only hand. She's very sexually open. She smokes weed and has some trouble with her parents, I guess. But yeah, she seems like a cool character.
You could punch with a stump.
The smoking weed thing breaks my immersion because it's super illegal in Japan. It would be like, she's like, I don't know, an 18-year-old American high school student that's like, yeah, of course I'm just going to go shoot up, with some heroin. Don't worry about it.
Aren't there like some high profile like voice actor cases of like them getting caught with weed?
They smoked pot and they lost their job forever. Yeah, and it's like shit sucks. Just come to the United States. We don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah, but we also don't give a fuck about voice actors.
I mean, well, we do because they do naughty things and to go to jail more often than they really should.
I mean, Katawa Shoujo is a Western game, so it kind of makes sense to be, happening in the USA.
It is, but it's
in the vein of DDLC, where it's an anime-style Western game.
God, okay, fine.
Anyway, so Miki, looks great. Dialogue is improving a lot. I like the direction where it's going in the game. So yeah, keep it up.
I'd agree with that. I think this is weird advice, but it's like for all the characters that we get that are like not horny enough, I think Miki can be a little too much, but I do think that this is improving because it's like if that's like your baseline and you're here in a porn game, like, oh no, how dare you, sort of like it's not a problem. I do think
I feel like if you can get the horny down, it's easier to dial it back.
Yeah, I'd actually really
than it is to like force yourself to do it if you don't want to do it in the first place. I
would 100% agree with that. Actually, that is really sound. I guess like the other thing I'd say is like, I think I like the way she talks to other characters, but like, I think having a conversation about how to explore a deeper conversation is probably worth the effort. Just because, like, I know that Miki was involved in the Christmas line back and forth event thing, and I think that was good. But I think like but I think like this is not a criticism in like a bad way. It's just kind of an observation, is that a lot of people's first like characters tend to lean really hard to the characterization, but you don't really know, like, for lack of a better way of phrasing it, the unspoken formalisms of like targeted dialogue. And I think having an opportunity to engage with other people about how to do that could be a good exercise to just be like, hey, let's sit down and talk. Like, man, I'm bringing up streaming channel like up a lot in this episode, but it's like go talk to Napsu about like streaming channel lines for this character, and I think that gets you in their head. This is just general advice. If you're stuck on how to write a character and like you don't really know what you're doing, go like do a streaming channel interview, and it kind of forces you to like deal with horrific bullshit that your character can probably lean into a little bit harder. So I don't know.
Streaming channel just gonna ask her to like describe in brutal detail how she lost her hand.
It's even funnier because Miku would be like, "Yeah, I'm totally hardcore." I got like caught up with the buzzsaw, and streaming channel would be like, "Wow, that's awesome."
I don't know what actually happened.
It was like she had like a woodshop accident. Like that's like a very like downplayed version, but that's essentially true. Anyway, I think like just targeting characters in like a mindful way and like interacting with some characters to like get some deeper conversations going is probably in your best interest, because Miki could have a lot of strong characterization that emerges from that, is what I'd say, especially with characters that are kind of like, the magma grunts of the world, where, this character is a good character. They're very strong, but they're definitely not likely to get in, the upper echelons of the game just because of who they are. I think characters like that, like having her talk to other misfits, so people that like really like that dynamic can explore it, is probably a good call. That's my thoughts on Miki.
That feel when nmasp says, "Hey, spnanon, you're gonna go second this episode," and then he just goes second.
Yeah, I'm
It's a loose cannon. That nmasp.
I like to make rules so I can break them better later.
So if this episode were recorded like a month ago, 2 months ago, my first thing I would have said is, "Damn, she needs a proofreader." I'm not gonna like make fun of Peasant. I think she I don't know why I said she. I think he genuinely has like dyslexia, which I can't imagine.
That's hard. That's like hard mode for Danny writing.
99% text. Yeah, that's not easy. I mean, that's just the kind of thing where you gotta recognize your limitations and be like, yeah, it just can someone proofread this? And she has been proofread. Like, I didn't see, like, there were still typos here and there, but I didn't see like there were like missing commas, but it wasn't distracting. So yeah, there's other like little minor things I can point out. Even in this pose that I posted, like her hair doesn't seem to really obey gravity. In the back, it like swings with her head. I think the stump. Let's see if I can find a pose. Yeah, where she's holding up her hand. I guess it's kind of hard to tell in this dark background, but against like a lighter background, you can kind of see her stump doesn't quite have like a full outline around it. I thought that was a little distracting graphically. These are just minor things. She had like a good butt pose. Ooh, I guess I could look for that. The stripping poses though were kind of. This is something that a lot of characters run into because making good stripping poses basically means going custom.
I think aside from the hand, she's a very, very cute model, which is like, kind of the point, right? Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, just like that's ridiculous, but she's a very, very aesthetically appealing model. So
writing wise, she was the subject of some like significant debate, and I pretty much just let the people who had actually played the people who had actually played Katawa Shoujo were kind of taking the reins on that one. Obviously, I'm just going to let them talk, or when they talk on Discord about this. I found her lines to be generally serviceable, but it seemed like there were concerns about her being out of character. Which, when she's not a main character, the question then becomes how much of a character is there versus how much do you have to make up. Because it seemed like she just didn't have that much material to work with in general. So he kind of went in one direction, kind of the more horny and carefree, and other people kind of disagreed with that. I think, I mean, like what I saw there, she was generally like, it's good to be horny, it's good to be social. She seemed like she was generally having a good time. So like that's what I mean by serviceable. It's not like she was doing anything bad. I just, I can't say personally whether or not it was, true to the source material in that way. But I really like the casual feel that she has. So generally, it's pretty good. It's nice to have a schoolgirl that's not like demure and and kind of like a moe-blob, I guess.
Spnanon, moe-blobs.
Listen, I don't watch anime. It's just like cute girls doing cute things, or like people in high school doing like a will they or won't they romance. I'm sure there are some that I would enjoy in that genre, but generally, and this goes for like all media, I like murder and choking and guns.
What?
Drugs. Giant robots, lasers, punching people, death, hate, violence, more murder.
There are many high school animes about that,
About murder. I mean, with some levity. Like, I like comedy, but and I don't mean like grisly, gory horror. I mean just like drama. I like stakes and violence, and I don't know. It's just what I go for. So, I'm more of a Black Lagoon kind of guy where people get shot in the fucking face. But that said, I'm sure I'll play Kato Shoujo at some point.
Yeah.
Moeblob Brevi, when?
You, dude.
I don't even want to think about that.
What would that be? Maybe I should just complain about the Genshin Impact characters now. I feel like they all kind of have that Moeblob design.
Well, there's two model types.
They're kind of samey. I think they look kind of samey, like they have the same.
I was
face.
ahead of the curve. I got Sucrose in before anyone, so fuck y'all. I got what I wanted.
I don't even think like they're samey in terms of like personality or like occupation or anything. They just all kind of look the same.
It happens to be a good look, though.
They have the same body type, and the same kind of cute Moeblob face.
I mean, I think we've talked about this at length, but it's let's move on to another character if we're kind of done here because we want to keep moving. But
moving on to a Genshin Impact character. That's why I brought it up.
Wait, oh shit, I skipped Fischl in my head, and I was on Trixie already. Whoops. There we are. My bad.
Time for
Fischl time.
It is officially time for Fischl.
For Fischl. Pencil, pistol, official. 69, the rhyme missile.
It is the end of the fiscal year. Let's see if this. See if this uploads. Okay, it's not uploading. What bullshit is this?
So yeah, Fischl.
Discord, get your servers together. Yeah, Karbol, what do you think about Fischl? There she is. She's like the Chuny of the group.
I didn't quite get her. I played with her once. Actually, I played with her once and then tried to play another game with her, and I didn't quite get her thing. Like, she used a lot of big words, and I just got a little confused. She has that bird Oz that I really liked, but I don't quite get her. She looks good. She's funny sometimes.
That's right. She's like a princess, model. And she's just very chuny. She's like
a role player. She's like a role player. She's not actually any of these things, and she's just like pretending to be this, and it's great.
Yeah, she's like, what would make me sound really cool and dramatic?
I actually
she's like Megumin basically.
Yeah. I love Fischl.
The thing with Chuny characters is that I can get it if it's like Megumin, who's like an underpowered character, or if it's a high school character who's obviously not a magical entity or whatever. But Fischl comes from Genshin Impact. I don't know if what she's saying is actually true or not. I don't know if she's actually the Empress of the Dark Bloodlines or whatever.
Yeah, that's
funny. I think that's what makes that character work, though, because you're just like, wait,
it's kind of like Megumin. She's like,
yeah.
She's Chuny in a universe where you actually could be Chuny.
But I think the difference between Megumin and Fischl is Fischl, you can definitely tell that she's lying about it sometimes. I don't know.
Well, she has her bird friend Oz, who's like a raven, and I
love Oz.
He translates cool for her in more vernacular terms.
God, I love Fischl. Fischl is unironically one of my favorite. Top 5 character for me. She's so good. Jesus. And so good. Remilia, just keep doing what you're doing. To come out of the ether and be like, I've written this character so well and so
this is from a new creator.
Yeah, I love Fischl. I am going to gradually target Fischl with all of my characters because she's just excellent. I really enjoy this way this character is written. I enjoy writing interactions with her. I really enjoyed writing Sucrose and Leon interactions with her quite a bit, and I will intend to keep writing things to her because she is a lot of fun to talk to.
Well, this is what I mean with the run and gun development style. I feel like Remilia is already moving on because don't they have another character on testing right now? Ganyu, they made her too.
Ganyu,
right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Also from Genshin Impact, you can tell because they have the same face.
Yeah, I'd like to see more Fischl. I'm not as big a fan of Ganyu, but I think Fischl is absolutely excellent, and I would love to see her she would look like it 3,000 lines once. I really like this character. I cannot speak highly enough about everything in here. That's just chef's kiss. So good.
As a new developer, I had that rush of I'm going to make all these characters, but I at least got the first one off of testing before going to the next one.
In fairness, I think this might have to do with Horse Killer's production schedule because I know he intermittently gets extremely busy with school. So
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's like the model is there. I'm not going to pose until you write for it. And then Vermilia just like goes in and just like casts forth lines and it works.
God, such a Genshin Impact craze going on right now.
Yeah.
We really were ahead of the curve
Yeah.
with Sucrose.
You're well. Yeah, I know. I really like Sucrose. Sucrose
The
is great.
first raindrop of a hurricane.
Yeah, fucking serious. Damn,
But,
Sucrose.
This will just form another ring in the history, in the tree trunk of development history in Spinati, because like its popularity will fade and then some other new hotness will come onto the scene.
Fire
like
Emblem.
It was Girls Frontline before it, and
Fire
Emblem
Emblem.
Three Houses, and before that it was Ruby.
But the thing is with like Girls Frontline is like none of the characters actually got made. Like PA-15, Misty, God bless you, is the only one that actually made it onto like anything. Like I'm pretty sure I was working with Napsu to write like T91 at one. Yeah. And that was not a fever dream. I'm starting to realize. 2020, 2021 were very weird years, guys. Anyway, let's
How many of
Any
these
more
Genshin Impact characters would have gotten made a Force Killer just had a heart attack?
Or Skiller just putting it all on his life, though.
If he huffed the wrong chemical in the lab.
All right. So, anything else about Fischl? Any strong thoughts, spnanon? I know you. I don't want to interrupt you.
Too late. Remember, I was supposed to go second.
Yeah. Well,
I think one thing is that since Oz appears so much to like translate her dialogue, basically, it'd be nice if he emoted. He basically only has one pose. Yeah, I posted it right here. He never really does this. He doesn't even really like flap his wings or anything. I don't know how much he can emote, but considering he can talk, I assume that he can have a little bit more going on. He could be like a Disney sidekick or something. I'd really like to see her. I mean, rip Wibbly, but I'd really like to see her like have banter with Megumin and try to out Chuni each other.
I wish Megumin would get some updates and just see like Fischl and her target each other. That's something that I think like I do wish there was like more of a spirit of adoption on things, because I feel like there's a lot of good work on some of these characters that just need a little bit more TLC.
Hey man, I've had Ryuko up for like 2 years, no takers.
Like
Kill la Kill is old and busted.
Baffling. Anyway,
Kill la Kill is like my panty and stocking for Ryuko.
I love Kill la Kill.
Because I aged tremendously when I realized that like came out when I was in high school. It's
Jesus. Stop.
Yeah.
Cool. So
one extra. I mean, I generally liked Fischl. She kind of, again, the same way Barbara spent a lot of time talking to her, Fischl spent a lot of time talking to Barbara, and they did expand on their lore quite a bit. Although for me, it was just kind of a lot of names being thrown around. I think the reason I kind of don't mind the lore with like Maya and Jura or something like that is because they are expressly like living together, so they can get a little bit more into the detail of like relatable everyday life stuff on their ship. But anyway, Fischl, the only other thing I want to say is that towards the end, like masturbation, she finished really fast to the point where I didn't even realize that she had finished. I feel like that happens a lot. You'd be surprised how often there's like new characters that like don't draw enough attention to their finishing. They just kind of go like, and then that's it. There's no like effects. You don't see any like little droplets. They don't even have like that strong of a reaction. It's like, oh, I guess I'm done now. You'd think she'd be a little more chuny about it. But those are my thoughts.
I think she does have I think like having more dedicated finishing lines could be a good way to draw attention to it.
So some people the whole experience with the masturbation and the forfeit, it's just way too short. Speaking of way too short, our next character.
That was good. I'll admit that was real strong. Anyway, Fischl's great, and really, please don't abandon her. I need this in my life. I feel like that's how I am as a person. I'm either just like, yeah, they're kind of good, they're kind of okay, or I'm just like, I thirst. This like triggers the neurons, and here we go. nmasp,
you might you might need a trigger warning, because I know you don't like huge boobs, and this is the chestiest character in the game.
I think Trixie is great, by the way. I just want to say,
Trixie
I
the
wanna-
Goblin Rogue.
she's so cool. Go Storm. Way to make the first short stack. A+. With that being said, Karbol, what do you think about her?
Literally standing on a chest. That's hilarious, and an excellent way to get around her height problem. Because otherwise she'd just be covered up by the UI.
Trixie is definitely the best character in the game we have, and I'm not biased because I have a really huge thing for goblins. But
How have you been able to explore that in your sex life?
Oh, well.
no comment. Let's just say there
flashlight
was some
comes in-
green paint
Me
involved.
personally, I don't like them. I don't like goblins.
I
Oh,
don't know. The fucking goblins keep moving in, and they bring them goblin slayers, and
I don't like goblins.
I just like drumming on them. Goblin on
Yeah.
goblins.
Noblin on her goblins.
Goblin D's nuts.
Got him.
Got him. She's great. Go ahead.
God, I can barely fucking see her when I make her poses.
Her model is amazing. I don't I don't have to say anything about the model because it's perfect. But I think she's great because she talks about her party members in such a natural way that it makes you want to meet them. But she's just describing a regular D&D party. She really sells you on the D&D experience. Like, hey, you could have a party of your own if you actually play the game, which it's kind of cool. She does talk a little bit too much, I know she's using her height to her advantage or whatever, but it gets a little bit too verbose for me. But I still love her model. I still love her personality. She's great, and I love her. And stop me.
Short and snappy, I think, is definitely better.
I'm
Most of the
drooling.
time. I mean, she herself is short and snappy.
She's super. Yeah. Go ahead, Spananon. I will let you graciously go second as you. as you
Thank you
want.
for the thing we
Sure.
agreed on ahead of time.
Yeah, I know.
For your benefit,
I'm altering the deal. Pray that
pray
I do not
alter it further.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got him.
Trixie is a great ad because she's just super unique, right? Body type as a short stack. Like that. That's the kind of thing you want in a porn game, right? Is a variety of body types and that visual language.
Oh, for sure.
And and she's got big hips and big titties. She definitely does not look like a child. She looks like she looks like a 3-foot goblin girl who I guess could carry your baby if it would fit. And I think she owns her sexuality and she uses it well. Like she wasn't just she wasn't all ooh meh. She's a rogue. She's an adventurer. She's been around the block. And she had like
She's delved.
she had an element of like
delved into the book of erotic
she had an element
fantasy.
of being like embarrassed and kind of flirty and wanting validation, but that's not that's also kind of endearing. I don't know if her model's perfect. What I really liked is that she emoted with her ears. That was a really nice touch.
Yeah.
Like when she was sad, her ears would droop. My family had like German shepherds, and it was always really cute when their ears would droop when they were sad. I'd really like to see like some custom stuff with her because like you pretty much got to be custom already with that body. You might as well go all the way and have some really fun poses. I'd say I think she could. I don't know. She's like partially a fan character and partially a take on like she's partially an original character and partially a take on like some fan art character. I don't have any fan art of her. I'm sure Solitaire could find some because there is some.
I think the thing I find interesting about this like line between like OC and fan character is like I get this that like Trixie is a goblin rogue is like okay, that makes sense to me from like various contexts, but specifically she feels like a goblin rogue from like 5th edition, which is to say like she's one of these like new school kind of like post Matt Mercer RPG type characters where she's like very much like it's not the
does that mean like the goblins are fuckable now, or
I think that's part of it, but I also think that it's like there's more of an aesthetic concession to like this. It's like this stylistic thing that is definitely less like medieval and more like focused on like Renaissance and kind of Victorian almost. It's hard to describe it, but you kind of know when you see it. Where it's like, I think if you tried to make Trixie like in 2016. In like 2016 or 17, I think she would have had a very different aesthetic than what she does today. But like, I don't
really that recent.
I would say so. I'd say like whenever Critical Role started to become a thing, like the broader acceptance of D&D just kind of skyrocketed. And there's good in that, and there's not so good in that. But I definitely think that like if she were written like 2016 or 2017, she would have been like a Goblin Rogue from WoW, and she'd just be very different. But
is she wearing any panties in that fan art?
I don't think so.
Ooh.
Spicy. Anyway,
what I want to say is I feel like her, I mean, this is something that you could apply to a lot of Kisake models. I feel like she could have bigger hands and feet.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, look at those hands. Those are tiny. And I know they're just like normal, weird baby hand Kisake proportions. F in the chat for all the men without custom hands. But I mean, you got to get so custom with her anyway that you might as well go all the way and like make her hands and feet a little bigger. If only so you can like see her emote with them better. She doesn't wear any panties. Did she not? She had underwear in Spinati.
I think she's like smart enough to, bring them in Spinati. Same thing as the Kumatora excuse. It's like, well, I didn't want to lose.
She doesn't wear any panties. Now that is spicy. I mean, I had to make that concession as well with Maya, because otherwise she'd be wearing 3 things. and the game would not have enjoyed her revealing chest and crotch at the same time. It doesn't like that. So she kind of had to have underwear underneath the bodysuit. And I just hand waved it away as like, well, sometimes if I go to the gym right after, I just wear my underwear underneath. I don't know. You got to make some concessions. Yeah. But she was very talkative, and I thought the lines could have been shorter, but I generally enjoyed reading what she had to say. Very talkative. She had a nice variety of topics. She wasn't repeating herself very much. And she was pretty interested in the player specifically, which I was very flattered by, because I was in a game with Leon. It made me feel a bit inadequate.
Well, fuck you, dude. Anyway, no.
It's like, damn, she's looking at me in the game with Leon.
Oh my, yeah,
but obviously
it's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because like not an hour ago you're like, oh, targeting the player like so much is not the best. But I guess it's like during the forfeit, that's fine. Is kind of your point.
I mean, I don't think it's bad. I just think if you do it too much and too early, it comes off as really needy.
Yep.
Which that's not my thing. But yeah, like, I mean, I can't tell you like, oh, if you flirt with the player too much, you're gonna lose popularity, because quite the opposite.
Well, that's actually insane. Don't ever take that advice. You want to flirt with the player a little bit.
I've already learned that like my tastes are far from universal. But hey, I mean, I wouldn't have made a Vandred character if that were the case. Yeah, she's good. I look forward to targeting her more.
My review of Trixie is actually kind of short, because I think everything that needed to be said, it was said, and my feedback is going to be painfully generic. It's just that like, I did give some feedback. Yeah, I think honestly, she's great. I think the idea that Storm has entered with is like she wants to avoid like kind of dark, weird things. Just wants to keep her like as kind of a wholesome character as much as you can in this genre. And I just want to see her keep getting developed. I think she's a great example of her archetype. I think the work that's gone into making her look like great, it makes sense with the art style while still having some assets in there that are, maybe not hand drawn, but very, compiled. I think I don't really have a lot of criticism. I think she's very much like a good D&D XP. I think getting a little bit more, I don't know. I think like as a huge D&D nerd, I haven't been this excited for like a D&D type character since like Ayla, as far as this like, kind of classical fantasy, vanilla world goes. And I think she does that well while being, very unique in terms of appearance and personality. Here's hoping that she, keeps going with it. I honestly just kind of think the one thing that she could do a little more of is like lean a little bit more into the lewd. I think she is very like wholesome and upstanding as far as goblins can go, and I think that's
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what you play up the short stack thing, right?
Yeah, I mean,
stand and carry.
Yep, I think there's a little bit more you can go into. I think like her after stripped for like when she just gets naked is really funny, but I can definitely see her like leaning a little bit more into the dirty talk, and I think that would be incredibly vivifying.
Oh, I'm all about the dirty talk. That's kind of this game's selling point.
Yeah, agreed. Okay,
like that's the niche. That's the fetish.
All right.
Hey, nmasp,
what's up?
Do you want to talk about the next character?
Yeah, you mean Heris? Yeah,
no way, bag. We're moving on.
No way. Yeah. Anyway, it's a good dead meme that like is kind of like rude to say now, but I think it's still very funny.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame because
it
wasn't hateful.
It was never funny. Really okay, but it was also not hateful. But now it's like kind of like upsetting to people, so I don't want to say it. But it's just really funny, just because like it's just like
the new meme is Chris wanting Leon to fuck his sister.
He's like, no way, man. Yeah. No, but I'll go last because this is my character. But yes,
why are all the Leon memes just him like not fucking a girl?
Because Leon always fails to score. It's just like it's really embarrassing.
He's the Beavis of Resident Evil.
Yeah, it's basically like Leon never scored. Like I love Leon. Leon's such a good character. I really hope people like him. But
all right, so go ahead and tell us all about how you cranked out this character on like a bender in 6 hours.
Oh no, Karbol's got to go for it. Yeah.
I cannot believe that you actually did that. That's insane. But hey, you did it.
We can talk about that later. But let's we're here to talk about Rampart. So talk about Leon the character, then we'll talk about Leon the man, the myth, the legend.
What I really want to talk about Leon is look how good he looks. Look at the fucking detailing on the hair, the gun, the jacket. It's just amazing. Like Blue Jay really outdid herself with this one.
Yeah, like Blue Jay did a phenomenal job on the art here.
Yeah. As for the writing, I'm actually not that big on the Resident Evil franchise. I just play one game, I think. So I brought a friend of mine, an expert on Resident Evil, to play alongside me as I tried Leon. And he said that it was really faithful, the creation of the character, that he was pretty funny sometimes, that he had enough reference to the source material. Like it wasn't too many, it wasn't too few, it was just the right amount. And it was sort of strange, but really fitting to have him. The way you wrote his sexuality on the later stages, it really fits him, and it makes him attractive as a male in general. And I kinda have a crush on him now. So yeah, good work.
That's really sweet, Karbol. I really appreciate that.
I don't have many like pop cultural regrets in my life. I don't really have that sense of like fear of missing out. Like I'll just get the stuff when I get the stuff, but I regret like as a kid with a GameCube like not playing Resident Evil 4. Cuz everyone fucking loves Resident Evil 4.
Dude, I think like Resident Evil 4 like holds up today, but like playing it back in the day, having come off of like RE3 like and like Code Veronica and all that random shit in the middle was like bonkers.
Was this
It was
just like
so
lightning in a
ridic-
bottle? Was this like
It was ridiculously like it was like offensively good. How much like better than like everything else at the time it was, because people were like, oh well, how good can it be? You can go back and play RE4 today on the GameCube and have like a blast. Like everything about that game is great. People are like, oh well, the dialogue's cheesy. And I'm just like, oh well, the dialogue's cheesy. Have you considered like getting your life in order, asshole? Of course it's cheesy. It's Resident Evil. What do you want?
but like it's just so universally beloved. And I think I briefly played it at like a friend's house. I don't think we really got past the intro level. Probably got chainsawed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All I remember is like, this is some shit. This is intense. There's a dude with a bag over his fucking head. I think we did make it past the first level because there was like the merchant. We met the merchant where he goes like, "What are you buying?"
Welcome.
I don't know.
What are you
I guess
buying?
we just
What are
moved
you
on to other
selling?
things.
Boy,
But yeah.
you sell it. I'll buy it at a high price. Hello, stranger. He's like Australian in the middle of Europe or some shit like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
he's like this weird like Slavic Australian guy, the merchant, not Leon.
I'm gonna guess you caught some sort of bug, nmasp, because you were flirting up a storm with Adrian and you wanted some more. That's my headcanon.
I just, I like using Adrian to target people. I like using Leon to target other people. I like using Natsuki to target people. I like using Sucrose to target people. It's all just different experiences because like I just like writing characters and having different ways to engage with characters I really like. And then eventually if I get bored of them, then other people can carry on.
But a lot like Trixie, I think not only is Leon obviously a really handsome guy and a good model, but he has a good niche. He has a good niche in this game. He's a quality, unique ad as this. He's a flirtatious guy. He's like a handsome, like suave kind of guy. You can chat up the ladies, but he's not like sleazy. He's not an asshole.
Glad, because I was a little concerned there for a while that like I need to play up like kind of the Boy Scout angle on him.
I think that kind of comes across in that he's a little. I honestly expected him to go a little harder. And I think
he's
one
a
of the
nice
reasons
guy.
that so many of the men in this game have trouble with that of just like not being super sexually forward. Like you'd expect the guys in like a strip poker bar to be constantly trying to pick up these girls, right? And so many of them in this game are just deferent because I guess they just no creator wants to be that guy.
I think Cosmo exists. Like you can't be Cosmo in that game.
No, nobody wants to be like the sleazy guy or to give the impression that he's like trying to like role play by proxy.
Yeah, I mean, it helps that like a lot of the characters are written by dudes, so it's like whatever. I think with Leon,
Spnanon is just like one big congealed mess of men writing women.
let me know when you're done with your feedback because I can go into whatever is on your minds about Leon.
Sorry, but like
yeah,
like he got like he was flirting, and I think he should go in a little bit harder than that. Like he has every reason to be confident around these girls, and like again, it's not a bad thing to like hit on a girl. You're playing a strip game, so it's okay to get into it. It's like like what am I gonna do to you? Shit like that.
Yeah, he has some dirty talk to like a couple characters, but there's definitely.
Make that generic, man. Like I don't give a fuck. Like I don't care who Maya says like you're gonna put your tube in me. It might end up going against Kitty Chef, but that's just funny.
Right, Maya lines to Leon. What are you doing? Give it to me.
Will. Dude, I got so much shit backed up. It's coming. Those lines will come. Just don't die in the next like 2 years.
Fuck you. I'm dying ASAP. I'm literally pulling out my gun. I'm pulling out my Second Amendment rights right now. Just to spite you.
They're on the way.
With my final breath, I spite spnanon. Anyway.
At the same time, like Leon, he also got a little flustered when the tits started coming out, which is also again, it's nice and endearing and kind of realistic. Let's see. I think his hair used to like change angles? Did you stop doing
They
that?
fixed that. Like Blue Jay fixed that. Honestly, like the modeling is just so strong because Blue Jay like kicked ass at this thing. Thank you, Blue Jay. We would not be where we are.
That's something I harp on, but it wasn't really something that Leon needed. Just because I mean he's presented in more in 3D most of the time where that doesn't happen. So it's more of a 2D art.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense like to have it not reoriented though. But
I mean I was fine with it either way. He did have I guess you're a fan of these. He had a lot of like kind of gamey, like sort of reference lines, almost meta.
almost. I think it's kind of like Leon's characterization is really strong, but it's never when he's having a good time. So it's kind of hard to like go into that, But
yeah,
I don't know. I think
it
like
wasn't too distracting.
The way I kind of wrote Leon is like I put the references in there enough to like make it happen. But you got to do that. But it's like I think it's just more. I didn't want him to become generic, and I didn't want him to become one note, and I wanted to have some very like variety and depth, and also like the key thing when you write a male character in Spinati is like you're not really writing for like women. Really, you're really writing for like gay dudes, and I just want to make sure that like it was a different flavor that like people
There's
could enjoy.
no girls playing this game. Come on.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's like I think you want to have something fun in there where it's like if the player can't really comment on things, so in some ways like you have to have the male character flirt with the female characters enough that you have a good time for people that are interested in reading that. And then you also have to like flirt with the male player. And I think that was like particularly challenging for me, but I do hope that people give him feedback and let me know what I did well and what I didn't. Because I'm definitely not done. I'm like very far from being done writing him, which is kind of crazy considering how many lines I've written. And yeah.
Okay. One last thing I want to give on dialogue in general.
Sure.
I wondered. I haven't played the game all the way, so I don't really remember what he sounds like. So
yeah,
I don't know. I got the feeling like maybe he's a little too terse with the way he talks.
He's very tall.
If he's trying to be like kind of casual and flirty, he seemed to like cut himself off a little bit too much.
He's very tall.
He had good detail in what he was saying. He gave some nice context for like the shit he works with and the kind of environments he finds himself in, and he's blown off some steam. I know that appeals to you. I know that's what you wanted out of Samus.
I think he goes into that cop talk because it's like he can talk at length. Like he's not stupid. He's just kind of like to the point, and that's just sort of how he does talk in the games.
Yeah.
He doesn't really expound unless it's like internal monologue, but it's also like again, he is a very tall model, and anything I can do to like it is very difficult for me to be concise in my writing. You have literally read like all my other characters who tend to be very short women or like twinkish boys, and it is hard to write tall people because you don't have the space to say what I want to say.
Yeah. So again, unless this, I'm going to give some advice here. Unless this is like totally against the way he talks, I think he could he could benefit from a little bit more like realistic diction or like interjections. Just having a couple of like uhs and hms and some like dashes for like punctuation, just to give the impression that he's kind of like thinking of what he's saying as he's saying it.
Yeah, I kind of do that when he's off kilter rather than when he's, but I hear what you're saying, and I think there's validity to that.
Just a little bit more than that, but honestly, like,
yeah.
Very good. And very unique. Okay.
Very cool. All right, I can talk about Leon. So I did not intend to write this character. I basically I was like shit posting with Blue Jay, and Blue Jay's like, hey, I made a model, and I'm like, oh fuck, I guess I'm in. And then I proceeded to just like procrastinate a whole lot. Then one day, like a Christmas miracle, I was basically like alone in my parents' house, and I just had a bunch of coffee and I drank a few beers, and I just decided to start writing and documenting my progress. And at that point, it became like a challenge where I'm like, I'm not going to stop until this is done. And in fact, I did not write him in one sitting. It took 2. But it was like, I think I wrote for like 10 continuous hours or something like that. There's like a thread in the social server that you can go look up. But I wrote 800 generics in like 12 hours or something like that. But anyway, so moral of the story is like, if I can do it, you can too. Just with the power of caffeine and a few beers.
So a stimulant and a depressant.
Well, because like you need the beers.
That's what killed John Belushi.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not John Belushi. It's like you gotta use the coffee to like get motivated, but then you use the beer to like loosen up, and then you're good to go. You could also do this probably like more efficiently with like Red Bull vodkas, but I really wanted to write Leon just as kind of like another send off and just a different type of character than I would have written previously. I think adding him adds, quite a bit to the game if people enjoy him, and I hope people do. I also just like I don't know. I hope people liked him. I don't really have a lot of other kind of thoughts or design. I can answer those if people think of them on the cat, like after the cast. I also have written far too many lines to Hu Tao, and I really hope she does well in the resort because my body and brain can't take all of this all the time for much longer.
Otherwise, Napsu's going to beat you again.
I'm so tired. I really enjoy writing it, but it's just physically draining to continue to write these lines and come up with inspiration for them. Anyway, Leon,
I better hop on the train then.
Yeah, there you go. So let's go on to our next character.
Yes, scientist in a I guess mild-mannered scientist who is probably in the worst setting you could be in to be mild-mannered, that being a trigger anime.
Yeah.
This is Heris. I think it's Heris. I'd have to check.
I thought
Heris, but I think it's Heris from Promare.
The H is silent.
Right.
Like the D.
Who is a scientist, like a researcher, energy type girl who is like a firefighter sister who's like more outgoing. I think she's just like a side character in Promare. I haven't seen Promare, but it's like about like firefighting in a futuristic city, I think. I don't even know what Promare means.
Heris' thing is that she used to be she's a scientist who used to work
Karbol.
for the bad guy.
Karbol. Wait, you're like 40 feet away.
What about now?
There we go.
There we go.
What about now? All right. So Heris' thing that was that she was a scientist working for the bad guy on Promare because
you're breaking up.
She wanted to.
You're all fuzzy.
Yeah.
What's going on?
She wanted to keep her sister safe until she realized, no, this bad guy is actually going to kill everyone. So she betrays the bad guy and rejoins the good guys. And yeah, she's your run-of-the-mill scientist. She's a little bit shy. She's a little bit recluse. She really loves her sister. And that's pretty much all her character in Promare.
This is from another new creator, by the way.
Yeah.
Ren. Good job, Ren.
Rin. Gotta say, it was really interesting to see Rin's development in Heris' development by Rin, because
did she do the art for this character as well?
She got some help from Nord Cool Cat and Mimans, but I do think she did a lot of the work on her own. Yeah.
Okay. Just want to be clear. I don't know. I just kind of mentally assume that every new character is just made by Horse Killer in the art. Anyway, go ahead, Karbol.
Actually, the model was made by Rin, and Mimans and Nord helped with the posing. So anyway, I think she's pretty good in the fact that there's not much character to get out of the movie, so there was a lot of improvisation, a lot of trying to get the most out of it, and I think she has. Her dialogue uses that very well, but I think she could use more of that. She's a scientist. She should be curious. She could be asking other people stuff. She could be doing a lot more targets, a lot more filtered lines. Another thing I saw was that her dialogue on the forfeit phases was a little bit lacking. And I really like one time that she mentioned her sister by name, and then the next line they said, "Oh yeah, this character is my sister." So it's a good character.
That was good, but I think that was the only time she mentioned her sister.
Yeah, but
considering how important she is to her, you'd think that would come up more.
No, I saw a couple of lines with her actually, but yeah, I think she's on a good path to main roster. Yeah.
I see a lot of rookie mistakes in Heris. I see a lot of potential. I don't think it's realized yet, but I saw little bits and pieces here and there of like if you expanded on this more, I think you'd have something really solid here. So I mean that's to be expected with a first effort, right? Everyone's going to make rookie mistakes. Well, I could start off with the sort of the minor art quirks and stuff. One thing that really stands out is once she takes off her lab coat, goes to the sweater, right? There's no like ribbing or stripes on her sleeves. Very distracting because I feel like they should be there, and I know that would be very hard with the arms moving around. That's something you probably want to figure out pipelines for, and I don't envy you for having to figure that out. But it's definitely distracting to not have any ribbing there. One thing I really like her facial expressions. She's got like a cute kind of like downward slanted eyes, very very demure looking, very very caring, very sweet. She has like a tiny mouth, very very muted facial expressions, which like she often looks very cute. The problem is she doesn't have too much variety in her expressions, which is a shame because I've seen some GIFs of her where I guess these are more like climactic character moments for her when she's like distraught and she's like reacting it with horror at something or defiantly like leaping off some balcony or whatever. And I know there's a probably more emotionally charged scenes than a strip poker game, but you could still benefit from channeling that a little bit more. In general, she had very like muted reactions to everything, which with a character that's already kind of in the background and in danger of slipping into the background, and it's something you got to play up a little bit more. I think you might want to. I think you got to make some sacrifices in like characterization here, or to canon, just to give her a little bit more going on. In the same vein, she had just a lot of her lines are just like inner thoughts, parenthetical inner thoughts, very very terse observations, but they weren't particularly interesting observations. It was a lot of like, this hand is okay, or could be a little bit better, or I wonder what they'll take off next. Very matter of fact, and again, it's what I always say. It's like, stop telling me about your hand. No one cares. There are so many things you could teach me about this character, and you're just on these hand lines, and you're just not taking the opportunity. Or just like the way she sees other people. Like, what does she think about? What does she wonder about when she's seeing these people? And like, there's little bits and pieces, like I said, where you get some of that, like the science lines of like, I wonder how long it would take for him to ejaculate. Like, that's good word choice, like she's a scientist. She's very socially awkward. She would use the word ejaculate. And if you go more into the detail, like I think if you take some cues from Sucrose and the way Sucrose really approaches this, maybe she's not quite that far gone in terms of like hypothesis. He will come soon, theory, but you could definitely do some work with that. So like more pose expression. I think like have more poses where she has like an open mouth. I always say this.
Yeah.
It's just to have her to give the impression that she's talking more. More a more open mouth, more expression. And I personally, I don't know if she has a lot of inner thoughts in the source material, or if that's just you really want to make her like say what she's thinking, but you can't because she wouldn't do that. Maya wouldn't do that either, but I make sacrifices for the game just so it's something that other characters can engage with. Because if it's an inner thought, then the other characters can't talk about it, and they need that. You need to be able to engage with her. on that level. So like just get rid of the parentheses. Just put all those inner thoughts out in the open. She doesn't have to be like proclaiming them super loudly, but they should be there. I've never liked, parenthetical inner thoughts personally. And a lot of times, like if she's quiet, then just have her be quiet. Like that's the appeal of a quiet, stoic, serious character, is to be quiet, right? If she's not constantly talking, then don't have her constantly talk. Just have lines where she's silent. So yeah, like just have a little bit stronger of opinions. Like there was a line where she was like, "It really annoys me when people use scientific terminology wrong." Oh, that's great. That's something that annoys her. She has an opinion. Like that's what makes characters fun to me and interesting. Is like what was her opinion on these things? I want to find out what she thinks. And if you get more into the specifics of that, or if there's some kind of specific trigger for that, and she like gives more examples, I think you'd have something really solid there. Like that's little like quirks that you remember about a person that stick out. It's like when people talk about like Johnny Joestar and he has like a bug bite fetish. That's so weird and specific that's something you would remember about like an actual person that in real life. So yeah, just don't be so polite. Get out there. Be a little more outgoing. More expression, more specifics. I think you definitely have something here, but you need to be a little more proactive. Just don't be afraid. Take some chances with her. Nmasp?
I honestly think you covered basically any kind of feedback that I could really give here. Which, it's kind of hard to come up with like anything other than that. I do think that in summary, basically, just I think more posing variety would be good. I get that she's a subtle scientist. I think choosing to write her as a lesbian rather than as like a bisexual character is something that I know people tend to get clowned on for doing it with various characters, but I think people are entitled to make that choice as they like. But it is something that is a little bit of a spicy take if you're not really you're not really setting yourself up for long-term success with that. And if that's the choice you're going to make, that's okay. But if you're the type of person who gets very disappointed with resort results, making any character straight or entirely into one gender is not typically the strategy you want to go down. But if you're not really interested in resort results, then more power to you. And I think you'll be happier writing Heris just the way she is, or Heris. The other piece of advice that spnanon touched on is the kind of like the scientist angle. There's a character in Persona 5 whose name is Tei Takemi. I know that like Tei Takemi is like a creepy goth doctor. However, she is like one of the more subtle characters in the series. And I would recommend taking a look at her as well, because I can see Heris benefiting from a little bit of like dry wit, which would kind of set her aside from some of the other characters. I think Mercy, I'm not going to like promote Sucrose here, but I think Mercy is also a good character to lean on for inspiration there as far as the character goes. But I think this is a really promising start. I think anyone's first character is very often where the journey begins. And I think this is a really promising start, and I can't wait to see what Rin does, both as Heris continues to evolve and beyond. Like I know Heris has talked, or Rin, my apologies, has talked about several other character concepts that I think are just generally a little bit more more powerful, and it would be nice to see her work on those.
Yeah. One last thing I want to say, she kind of reminded me of Maya. Like Maya V1, in the sense that like you got like, oh, she's a scientist. It's like, what are some sciencey lines I can throw out there? But it's like the mistake is making them kind of surface level. Like it's like a boring hand line where like, oh, my hand's not that great, but instead she's saying like results inconclusive. It's like it just applying like science terms to like boring hand lines. You want to take it a step beyond that to where it just like defines like how she sees other people, and you really want to explore that train of thought instead of just like applying it to situations where she probably like wouldn't care about her hand quality, or at least I don't. So make it a little more interesting. Even something like I don't know. She like studies energy, so it'd be tough. But like even like the energy of, I don't know, the energy of blood flow in the body and the heartbeat and electrical signals and our passions and the throes of passion.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. Just make some sciencey shit up.
Trixie, what the fuck are you talking about?
Really? You don't have any ideas? Like,
I like that Karbol's getting in on this. Karbol, great. Thank you. I appreciate you. Spnanon, I appreciate you too. But I think
I get it.
I get what you're trying to say. I think basically
just talk about letting people ramble.
I do get it.
Talk about like science. Go
also,
on plus one.
I find it extremely funny, and I want to explore this further. But the first thing I thought of with Heris is she's basically exactly like Maya's mom.
Oh no.
She has like the same hairstyle, and she's also an energy scientist, and she has glasses. Like that's Maya's mom exactly. So it's
Alpha Man, stay away. Do not do it.
It's going to be very awkward for her. Because she's just like, God. Just, I don't know, imagine playing strip poker with someone who really, really, really reminds you of your mom.
I hate this, and I wish to unsubscribe. Please cease, sir.
God, no. Well, I do get what spnanon is going with the whole energy thing. Like, she has to have an opinion. She has to. What moves her? What makes her talk? What makes her do stuff? Why did she become a scientist? Does she have natural curiosity? Does she want to know more about other characters? Does she want to know more about other worlds? What gets her going? That's what I want to see.
Well said, Karbol. Well said.
I think my fever got a little worse, sorry.
No worries.
All right, I found it. Hold on. Stop the presses. Solitaire. I had this on hand immediately, as always. Through the magic of editing.
Yeah.
Shit. Where is it? I got
it. Did you have it on hand? I don't believe you, sir.
Here she is.
Yeah, that is kind of uncanny.
I see it.
I see it.
So May is just like, it's not what I needed. Her mom's also dead, by the way. And she has like various conflicted feelings about both her parents.
All right. I think
so on that very sexually
devoid note,
would you like to go one more character, or are you fine calling it here?
Karbol's on the line. Let's do one more. Just one last character, quick in and out. Talk about
right. I mean, it's just another Genshin Impact character. They crank them out in a Chinese factory somewhere.
Oh God. All right. So Karbol, what do you think about Ganyu?
It sounds like a yogurt.
She's a little bit too similar to Barbara. She's the perfect horse killer bait. That's how I define Ganyu. She's very passive. She's very nice. She doesn't like conflict. She's cute. She's anime. She's perfect. She has a pillow for feet too. So yeah, I can tell why he likes it so much. I really played with her.
Like, this is just Bernie. This is Ganyu Bernie.
Yeah, she's just Bernie, but goat Bernie.
Goat Bernie.
It's got like the
I
whole
really
breed.
like one.
I wish the breed mode thing were just like her default set of being. Honestly,
this is the character I relate to the most because her main interests are like sleeping and eating. It's like finally an anime waifu for me.
I think Ganyu's really cute. I'm gonna keep butchering her name. I'm so sorry, but I do think like
is her name an actual pun on like milk or something like Ganyu?
I don't think. I'll go ask
like
Natsu after this.
Because like Ginyu, and like Captain Ginyu, like he's a pun on like milk in Dragon Ball. They're all like dairy products. The whole Ginyu Force.
I'm gonna go ask for it. Also, it's like one of the first things if you search in Ganyu in like Google searches, does Ganyu have an eating disorder? And it's like, what?
Oh my god!
It's like, what the fuck? Anyway, I think. So here's my like again. I am so sorry that I'm just giving unsolicited advice, but it's like I do think I mean well here. I think making breed mode less of a occurrence and more of just a core part of the character is going to serve you well. I think that's what people are here for. The other thing is like she is very passive, and I think there's a way to play up like the office lady nature of her, because I think that's sort of the archetype that she can do that spnanon doesn't have, that's a little missing. I think talking about like, you know, bureaucracy turns no one on, but like if you make it increasingly absurd, like I can't believe I'm filing papers on like some hooligan that like broke 60 billion pots, like, you know, as a joke about Legend of Zelda or something like that. I definitely feel like there's plenty of room to like put some jokes and commentary there. Even if she's not funny, the joke can be really funny, right? Like just have her be what she is, but you can add context that makes, you know, the world around her a little bit more interesting. Yeah, honestly, like, you know, the model's cute. I think there's potential here. I'm just, I'm not a big enough Genshin fan to really tell you what to do. I'd like, I don't know, go talk about Chinese, Taiwanese mythology with Napsu, and then you can just steal that and then, you know, offend the CCP and everyone walks away happier for it. That's all I got. You know,
Karbol, did you say your piece on her already?
Yeah, you started it.
Yeah, I think no, it's okay. If one last thing I gotta say is that while her personality wasn't that interesting, her writing was really strong. She has a lot of very clever, specific filter lines. She comments on the state of the game, on what the hands of other characters, what the player is wearing. There's a lot of effort in here, and it shows. It really shows. So yeah, you want to say something, spnanon?
Romelia, please finish Fischl.
She reminds me a lot of Fischl. Like if I squinted, I would have a hard time telling them apart.
What?
They have like the same like leotard.
Well, I mean, okay, that's like because there's like three Genshin designs and they're all just variant. But you know, it's like that's not like that's not like the writing is there. You know, the writing is good. Like I'm not going to sit here and say the writing is not good. I just think that like Ganyu is not. I think Fischl has more character to her that's a little bit more accessible. I think Ganyu requires you to kind of go beyond what the character is in canon to try and make a little bit more occur there. Yep.
She's very cute, very sleepy. Being sleepy is cute, although I wonder if she's got some kind of narcolepsy. She had good use of like differing text sizes to show her like trailing off or being kind of nervous. So kind of like it reminded me of Sucrose in that way. Let's see.
Sucrose is probably more openly horny though, or like, you know, openly from like a dialogue perspective rather than.
Are you sure? Because Ganyu seems.
Oh, I mean, I think once Ganyu goes for it, yeah, that's a fair take.
Have you looked at her? She's definitely the horniest of all the Genshins.
Oh my god, I walked right into that one. I'll give you that one. That was pretty awful, and I'm glad we're friends because we might not be for much longer if you keep making those jokes.
I agree that like the office lady stuff. Whenever she pulled out the papers, that's when she said like something funny.
Yeah.
So that's definitely what just this beleaguered like secretary who's been at this for like 1,000 years.
Yeah, that's pretty awful.
That's pretty funny. A lot of her other dialogue was just like kind of awkward. I called it like awkward clothes talk in my notes, where she's just kind of awkwardly talking about, oh, you know, that's a nice thing that you took off or whatever. I don't know what to say here. I don't know. Whenever those lines exist, I'm just like, is this the character being awkward or is this the writer being awkward because they don't know what to write? It's like, it's their clothes, I guess. I think like Heris, in a way, she was just too deferent to the other characters. You know, I always say just have an opinion. And I think she's just a little bit too accepting of just everything that's going on around her. And that's, you know, conflict is drama, as they say. I mean, again, I'm never going to like the moe-blobs. But just like there's got to be something that annoys you, right? There's got to be something that gets you going, or that not even annoys, but you just have a really strong opinion about, or something that you really like, even something that you're really excited to see, something that wakes her up a little bit more. And I'm curious to see what that is. But you know, like Fischl, very promising start, very cute artwork. I'm sure it'll be happy to please the 10 billion Genshin Impact fans.
We got to just see how they do in the resort too. It's going to be interesting. All right, so Karbol, any last thoughts? You know, thanks for being on the cast. Really appreciate the making the effort, especially given that you're a little sick and it's a different time zone. So really appreciate having you on.
Hey, no problem, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Anytime, man.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, until next.
Any final thoughts on, or any future plans for either of you?
Yeah, actually. But Karbol, you go first. What's on the table, and it better be more Zoe lines.
Yeah. I gotta respond to all those Leon lines you sent my way.
I live to please.
I'm entering maintenance mode, where like I'm just gonna add more lines to all characters and such. At least
it's a good life. It's a good life once you get there. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I like the whole shoot and move on thing some devs are doing, but it's just tiring, man. It burns you out.
I kind of think you're right.
You can't just keep fucking and having more children. You have to stop and raise some of them.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, I think I'm actually, after Leon's done, in the near future, I think he's actually pretty close to being ready for sponsorship, if not like main game, which is nice. I don't think either of you would really disagree with that.
He's good.
And then I think once that's done, I have to kind of start sending off my characters and start finishing up, get Marinette back on. I'm just waiting for Miraculous's current season to finish. She may have a new costume when she reaches testing tables again. But
Ooh.
We'll see how that goes.
What spicy developments have arisen from this new season?
I can't tell you. You'll have to wait and see. But it looks very chaotic. Like from the outside looking in, I look at the spoilers and we're just waiting for the thing to come. And I'm like, what the fuck?
It's a mess.
I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah. So I don't know. I think like Miraculous is one of those shows. It's like it has really strong potential that's just outstripped by its medium. It's like it's very clearly supposed to be like a kids show, and that's kind of to its detriment because there's obviously some very strong character writing in there, but it just kind of gets bogged down by its own medium. So hopefully people continue to enjoy Marinette and Adrian, even if the next season or two of Miraculous is not so good.
Are you sure it's a kids show? Because like I've seen her suit.
Oh, it's definitely a kids show.
Oh, it's by the guy that did Totally Spies. Like, by the way.
Yeah, it's French.
And
I hope this inspires just a generation of like skin tight suit lovers.
Please. Well, I'm going to be too old to really benefit from that, but yeah, good on the children. Otherwise, I think the next thing is like getting Marinette on. I think probably what's going to happen before that though is it's going to be the big Natsuki send off where I do, kind of a final round of targets that are outbound, then target kind of among mine and Apsu's characters, and then she'll be retired. I don't think that's going to be like a small set of updates. But I do think that she's kind of first on the list to like let go and then just be free in the wild. So those are my big plans.
Nice.
Oh, also keep an eye on Hu Tao and Leon. They might be getting something very spicy in the near future.
They're just gonna fuck. They're just gonna fuck during the game.
Yeah, 100%. First male female forfeit baby.
Rice.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a lot of people very upset, and that's okay. because my wife will be happy, and for her, the rest of you are nothing. So
Remind me to
all right.
ship them.
Yeah, yes. Zoe should get in on that. There's it's actually really fun to write them together because they both hit on similar characters. Like Hu Tao and Leon both hit on Fischl. So having them both together, they both hit on her. Or Barbara, I think, is another one. It's basically the Genshin characters get special treatment if they're both on the same table. But I digress. Give me lines to Leon, everyone. I'll get you back for them, or just yell at me if you want targeted lines. I am the lore vendor. I will give you all sorts of shit. Cool. Good talk. Happy Tuesday.
May I say something before we end
go for it.
podcast?
Yeah, of course.
There's a lot of stress. I know this is probably gonna come out way after it's done, but there's a lot of stress regarding the resort, and it doesn't really affect play rates. If your character is good, it doesn't matter if it's next to Xander or anything. People are gonna play them, so don't worry about it.
Do you actually know that?
Yeah, it's actually Viz can give a more accurate number crunch on this, but it is kind of factual that it's an order of magnitude problem. It's not your character suddenly becomes the most played if they're on the front row. It's really a relative increase kind of thing. It's characters that are getting a lot of plays that get higher in the resort do much better than characters who don't get a lot of plays that are high in the resort, and vice versa. If you're getting a lot of plays, you can get them from anywhere in the roster, and vice versa. Being on the front pages does not inherently give you more plays, but what does give you more plays actually is lots of targeted lines. Statistically speaking, that is the biggest determinator for whether or not your characters get played, because what happens is your characters get shuffled in during random selection, because people don't really they're this is
they don't know who to pick with other characters.
Yeah, especially if it's not from the same franchise. So there's two kind of factors here. First is does your character have a lot of franchise mates? If so, you can basically assume that people will be picking them to play with their franchise mates. However, if the random sortation gives you characters from other franchises, people do tend to pick those. This is all to say it is not correct to say that the resort does not affect play stats at all, but it is also not for instance, let's hypothetically say I'll use Natsuki for this, not to brag, but to just kind of demonstrate. Natsuki gets about 3 plays a minute or something like that, right? Which is very, very high. But compared to where she is on the resort, that sort of makes sense. Whereas someone like Amy gets about 1 play for every 3 or 4 minutes. I'm just going to use Natsu's character with this. Sorry. And I think the other Dokis are in similar boats. So it's sort of if you're already getting a lot of play and you're high in the roster, you'll get even more. If you're getting a lot of play and you're not high in the roster, you'll still get a lot of play. And if you're not doing well and you're high in the roster, it doesn't really help you all that much. And I think another example that I would give on this, this is basically true for male characters, for instance, right? And I think the other thing that you need to keep in mind is the play stats on any given character are just fucking ridiculous. Xander gets 1 play every 70 minutes or something. So every hour someone is beating it to Xander, right? And realistically, if you're a modern developer, and this is not to dunk on Xander was relatively good for his time. You are getting, many plays per minute or many plays per hour. And that's phenomenal, right? People are seeing more of your writing and artwork in an hour of them being in Spinati than they would on fanfiction.net or Archive, AO3 or Reddit, basically guaranteed.
Gotta put some titties in there.
And no, I mean, I'm not even joking, but it's I think people understandably get very stressed about the resort. I don't think that's the right way to look at it, because it's you're not it's like the apocryphal story of what do you call the person who gets the lowest grade in med school? Doctor. They still graduate, right? Yeah. And I think if you look at once you pass testing tables and you make it to the main roster, your character gets a lot of play. Whether or not it's the number 1 play or whatever, it's everyone gets a lot of play, and I think that's really cool. And I also just want to iterate that where you place in the resort is less a function of like how good your character is per se, and more of like how well known is this character? How many targeted lines do you have? What characters are they associated with that also do good? Like, and I think it's sort of like it's okay to be in the middle because it's still a phenomenal accomplishment. A lot of work went into it, and yeah, you know, we all want to win, we all want to get promoted, we all want to make more money, we all want to do better in the resort, et cetera, et cetera. But you still should look at your accomplishments, you know, because it's hard. Like this is not easy to do, and you're doing it purely out of passion, and you know, you still get, you know, dozens and dozens and hundreds of plays, and that's phenomenal. Like you should pat yourself on the back and not feel bad if it's not exactly what you wanted, because it's still really, really good and really cool. And this is an art form that's relatively unique in that sense that a lot of people will never read your fan fiction, but a lot of people will play your character in Spinati, you know, every hour.
I mean, for me, the source of stress, you know, like Maya got to like number 1 in the very first resource she was in, and probably before like she really deserved it, or I was ready for that kind of success. And ever since then, it's just like she has nowhere to go but down. So it's very, very anxiety-inducing in that way to feel like I got to live up to that. Yeah, if Samus continued her reign of terror, just like, well, you know, it's Samus, I'm not going to beat Samus. But the fact that she can is just like, oh god. Even the fact that Maya can do that, even if, you know, star power wise, she probably shouldn't. It's
all kind of like ultimately, there's no perfect system that's going to make everyone happy all the time, but the system is pretty solid, guys. And you know, like your character is obviously going to be your baby, but you know, take the wins where you find them, and not, you know, don't make a big deal out of comparison. I know there are some very competitive people who I live with in this, you know, particular competition, but it's like, it's not whether you win or lose. It's just like whether you had fun doing it. And it's, you know, that's great. People like your characters. Like everything that we talked about today, even if we gave like somewhat harsh feedback, it's not because we like disliked your character. There are some characters that I'm just like, this is garbage, and I will tell you that, but it's more of a judgment on like how you act as a person if it comes to me telling you that your character is garbage. Otherwise, I'm going to do everything I can to like salvage, like, what can we do to make this better? So, you know, it just in a very honest way, like, all of you do great work. Keep it up, and, you know, keep developing and have a great time, because there's something really special here, and, you know, devouring each other over it is not the right call.
I mean, the way I've come to terms with it is just like, you know, I just want to be able, like, not even having fun with it, but just doing the best job that I can, and just representing the character in the best possible way, and just creating something that I'm proud of, and I feel like captures them really well, because the character is the character, you know. I didn't make them; they're not really my characters. So, like, I know Maya is never going to be as popular as Nami. That's just ridiculous. Like, it's not going to happen. That's not how you should measure things. You know, it's not an even playing field in that regard. But if I feel like I presented Maya as she's supposed to be, and, you know, it's something that I like and I can be proud of, then, you know, the chips will fall where they may. And everything else is out of my hands.
All right. Good stuff, guys.
Does that end things off? All right, word up.
All right, guys.
Zip it up and zip it out. My rims chops, bitch.